Good afternoon, Cedarfield family. I hope everyone is doing well here on this fine Wednesday, December 23rd at 3 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in live here. For those of you that are here at the community across all levels of care, thank you. Team members, thank you for listening. If you are tuning in tonight on our Touchtown website, thank you for taking time out of your busy week here 2 days before Christmas to listen to information about Cedarfield. Our format for today, I have a little COVID-19 update for the next 10-15 minutes. Christy is here, our Director of Marketing and Sales, has an update. Jack Johnson, our Maintenance Director, is here to provide some updates within that department. Ann Hopper is here with Dr. Shear to talk about a vaccine education couple of minutes. And David Stewart and Chef Tyrone are here to talk about a very yummy menu for the latter half of this week. Current situation here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the 7-day positivity rate, the rates have remained pretty much the same as we reported on Monday. The state is experiencing 11.5 7-day positivity rates. Central Virginia is right at about 14.5%. Henrico is right at about 9. Richmond is at 6.9, and Chesterfield is about 10.5. So those numbers have either stayed the same or slightly have increased. Our dashboard here at Cedarfield across 5 neighborhoods in the licensed area are green. The health center, assisted living, and memory support, that dashboard is green for all team members and all residents. And in independent living, that dashboard is also green in the main building here and in the cottages for residents and all the team members who work within independent living. That dashboard is also green. So that is just great news 2 days here before Christmas. Just a note about testing. Over the last 2 weeks, we've talked about different types of equipment that Cedarfield has available to us now here at the community, and we're a very strong partnership with Jeanette Works over on Cox Road. And shared a little, Ann Hopper in the Wellness Clinic shared a little tidbit with me this morning that because of that, those pieces of very expensive equipment that we have available now, we, since we've had those tests, we've conducted just about 100 tests here at Cedarfield over the last several weeks. So I just wanted to share that tidbit with folks because our evolving preparedness plan now it has that COVID-19 testing equipment, and whether we're talking about tests in independent living or using the equipment and resource in the licensed area, we're able to really quickly identify within 15 minutes now is the time it really takes with one of the pieces of equipment to understand whether or not somebody might be COVID positive or negative. So I thought that was a nice little tidbit to share. I'm going to leave the educational component to COVID-19 to Ann Hopper and to Dr. Shear in a little bit. One note about the Walgreens rollout. Again, Walgreens is our partner. CVS and Walgreens are the 2 providers in the country to roll out the vaccine within long-term care. They have selected Walgreens for Cedarfield. We did make contact with them yesterday. I have another step forward here, some slightly good news. They did confirm with us that they are highly likely to come out the week of January 4th. So we're pretty excited about that. They're going to contact us next week to advance the planning phase with us. So let's just keep everything crossed that they actually do come out on January 4th. And they did confirm with us once again that when they do come, they intend to provide the vaccine for folks that filled out the vaccine administration record across the whole campus, not just the health center. So that is all just great news. Somewhere in the week of January 4th. There has been a request from residents to provide a little extra layer of clinical support 24 to 48 hours after we perform this vaccination period. And so Ann Hopper and in the clinic, we're trying to work out a schedule to make that happen so that there's a nurse around the clock here in independent living. And then obviously in the licensed areas, we already have nurses around the clock. So we're working on that. And then just, this is my secret weapon. Besides taking vitamins C, B, D, elderberry, and zinc was the cocktail that Ann Hopper told me to take back in April, which I've been doing faithfully twice a day since April. This is my other secret weapon. I have been carrying around a 2-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer for the last 9 months. And I think it's, every time I touch, whether it's a handle going into a door, and or even at the gas pump, before I pump the gas, I usually clean my hands, and after I'm done pumping the gas, again I clean my hand. This is my best kept, it's my secret weapon. I know many people have some that are connected to their belt loop or in their purses. Many people don't even have this. So this is now available to all the residents. Those of you that live in the cottages and the apartments, if you wish to have a bottle, Sharon Brown in our housekeeping department has a little housekeeping present for you. If you live in the cottages, feel free to come up to the concierge desk and pick up a bottle. If you already have your own way of sanitizing your hands throughout the day while you are en route outside of your house, that's great. If you do not, come pick up a bottle at the concierge desk and add another layer to your infection control practices to keep yourself safe and all of those around you. Okay, I'm going to move on from there to, anybody ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Johnson from our maintenance department with a couple of updates.
Hello, I'm Jack, Assistant Director of Maintenance and Engineering. Happy to say this week, thank you to everyone in the D-Wing, our new residents. We went through and replaced all 91 bathroom faucets this week, reassuring that we won't have any further trouble with those. So thank you to everyone for letting us in and monitoring to make sure that they were installed properly. Also, the parking lot repairs on the healthcare side of the building were completed this week. Thank you again to everyone who rode the shuttle and was inconvenienced, with passing through that area and everything. We appreciate that, so we can get that work done. Also, wanted to mention that kind of restructuring some things with the maintenance department. We've kind of divided up into two teams so that we can carry out two different tasks at the same time. We have a group that will continue to do our daily maintenance needs and repairs and things as you call in. Sorry about that. So we have the regular maintenance team carrying out with the daily call-ins and things that you have through Gloria. And then we have another group that's doing the preventive maintenance work on our maintenance needs on the facility, you know, the main building and in the cottages and things. That's about what I have. I just want to say thank you and Merry Christmas to everyone. Looking forward to a safe and healthy new year. Pass on to Christy.
All these tall men. Good afternoon, everyone, and Merry Christmas Eve, and Happy Holidays. I just wanted to thank you all again. I feel like every time I come up here, I say thank you so much, but we just really appreciate the warm welcome that everyone in the community has given to our new residents. So I just wanted to remind you who moved in December. On the 7th of December, Joe and Sherry Parker moved into 10,010 on the court, so welcome Mr. and Mrs. Parker. On the 12th, Dr. Carlisle Morgan moved into 292 in the D-Wing, so welcome Dr. Morgan, we're so glad you're here. John Ferris moved in on the 16th of the month into apartment 486, which is also in the D-Wing, so welcome Mr. Ferris. Milton and Pat Cerny moved in on Monday to apartment 206, so welcome to you all. And yesterday, Virginia Hudgens moved in to apartment 385, also in the D-Wing. So welcome to you all. Thank you for joining our community during the month of December, and we're just so glad that you all are here. Again, thank you so much for everything that you all have done to support marketing through the year. It has been a fantastic year for us, and we owe a lot of it to you. So thank you again, and I think Ann and Dr. Shear are gonna talk to you next.
Hello everyone. I wanted to do a little talk today about building confidence with the COVID vaccine. You know, I think there's a lot of hesitancy, and it is real. I know that a lot of us are very confident in getting the vaccine, but there's still, you know, quite a bit, of kind of some uneasiness, and so we wanted to kind of answer some common questions. I think, you know, the fact that there was emergency authorization, you know, a lot of people are concerned with safety. You know, I know there was a study that the University of Michigan did back in November, where they asked folks 55, you know, to 80 years old, if they would get the vaccine, and about 20% said they would get it as soon as it was available. 46% say they would get it, but they'd want to wait. 20% say were unsure as to whether or not they would or wouldn't, and 14% said they wouldn't get it at all. So 20% wanting to get it is not great numbers. So, you know, I just really wanted to kind of address that. This vaccine, you know, the way I look at it is it can save my life, it can save the lives of everyone around me, and I think, you know, I think that gets lost a little bit in the politics of all of this. You know, there's so much of the time that we in long-term care, you know, with all of this have been, we've been last. You know, we've been asked to put our lives on the line as caregivers, and sometimes, you know, and luckily not here, but in other facilities, even when there haven't been PPE available to do so. And this is an opportunity for us to get to be first. You know, we get to be the first ones saved, and I think that's appropriate. So just to kind of share some of the data, about the trials. So, you know, and I also think this gave me a lot of confidence, was just, you know, the numbers themselves. So, in the Pfizer trial, you know, there were 43,661 people involved in the Pfizer trial, 41,000 for the second, you know, received their second vaccination. In the Minerva trial, 30,000 people enrolled, 25,000 got the second dose, and it having 95% effectiveness. That's a home run. So 94.1% with the Minerva. And I think it's important to know that, you know, okay, let's look at the severe cases. You know, who out of those 40,000 ended up very sick? There's not in the Pfizer trial at the time period where they were looking at the safety data, 9 patients in the placebo group, 1 patient in the vaccinated group. In the Minerva trial, 30 patients in the placebo group, 0 patients in the vaccinated group with severe cases or you know, ending up hospitalized. 1 of those died. So the bottom line is this vaccination can save your life. So that's why we feel like it's so important. But I also think it's very important to be upfront, to be honest, to be transparent. This has been a very scary time, and I think it's important for people to feel comfortable asking their questions, and to be honest with what those questions are, so that we can give you honest answers. Because unfortunately, just as it has been throughout this pandemic, social media has not helped us to get accurate data out there. So you know, looking at reputable sources, so we're trying to help you with that today. So, Anne, what are some of the questions you've got?
The first one, I think you started it already. Is this vaccine safe?
So yeah, so I think, you know, the number 1 priority when we're talking about giving a vaccination to a healthy population, right? I mean, we're giving a vaccination to people that are not sick. So when we talk about giving something to people that aren't sick, we want to make sure, number 1, it's safe. When we look at vaccinations in general, when we look at their safety data, what we ask a vaccine to do, you know, they make them look at, you know, 6 weeks post-vaccination to follow those patient populations for 6 weeks in trials. The Pfizer and Minerva, they extended that. We asked for 6, we did 8, right? So we said for this, we want 8 weeks of data. They went all the way out to 8 instead of the 6 before they approved. We have a minimum population, you know, you have to do the trial on 3,000 people. They did it on 40,000. So I mean, there's a lot more data. You know, this has actually been the process to get this emergency authorization has been just as rigorous and more rigorous than we do with other vaccinations. And that's just the numbers. So.
Can I get this vaccine if I have AFib?
So some of the, you know, so far as like the comorbidities, because I know when, you know, it originally came out with the UK receiving it, they did say they had some exclusion criteria. But when they did the trial with these 40,000 people, they took people that had egg allergies. They had people that had congestive heart failure, diabetes, COPD, those comorbid conditions, atrial fibrillation, and they did receive both vaccinations. There were not complications in those groups. So, so far as the data shows that the only contraindication to have the COVID vaccination is if you had an anaphylactic reaction to other vaccinations in the past. And you know, that's a very severe allergic reaction to vaccinations. That doesn't mean if you've had anaphylaxis to pill medication, you still are a candidate to get the vaccination.
So if I have allergies, I should get this.
Yes.
If I have a reaction to the flu, should I get this vaccine?
Well, again, I think it would be, if you had an anaphylactic reaction to the flu vaccine, then no, you would be that percentage that is excluded. But unless you had an anaphylactic reaction, you actually can and are eligible to get the COVID vaccination. Like I said, we are the group that gets to have it now, and the reason why we get to have it now is because we know we have more exposure, more risk than the rest of the United States right now. There's a reason you're chosen first. And the complications from having COVID and the risk of death from COVID is so much higher than the risk of death from the COVID vaccination. So anaphylaxis is, your body reacts, it's an immune reaction to a vaccination, or it can be to a pill. Usually it ends up, somebody would be in the ICU from a blood pressure drop. Sometimes you talk about, they're usually people that you give an EpiPen to. If you think of like people that are allergic to peanuts or bees, they can have anaphylactic reaction. Usually your throat closes up, that kind of thing. So it's a very severe reaction that you would be hospitalized for. Yeah.
We're hearing about mRNA. What is it, and does that change my DNA?
Okay, so the way this is a vaccine, so it's an mRNA vaccine, meaning it binds to the RNA, which is located outside. I don't want to get too biology here, but you have a nucleus in your cell that contains your DNA. This is what makes you you. It's located inside the nucleus of the cell. The RNA is outside of that. So the fact that this is an RNA vaccine means that it's not getting into your nucleus. It cannot change your DNA. It cannot cause you to have problems years from now. I know a lot of times people are concerned with like pregnancy risk and what if I'm pregnant, what if I'm breastfeeding. Although there's probably not going to be anybody to tell you that it's 100% safe, because the reason for that is that patient population was excluded in the trial. If you were pregnant, you were not allowed to be part of the safety trial. But actually, we do have some pregnancy data, because some of those patients or some of that population in the trial have since become pregnant. And there's no data to indicate that it is unsafe. I think for those of us at Cedarfield, especially those that, I don't think our residents are going to be pregnant anytime soon, but I do think, some of us that work here could be. And the fact is, there's more risk of being pregnant and having COVID to your baby than there is risk of having the vaccine and while you're pregnant. So I think the risk is more of, you are in the line, you are in healthcare work right now. So you are under exposure more so than the outside population. I do think that I would encourage people to get the vaccine. And there has been no evidence, and should not be any evidence, to say that there is any DNA changes. That it's kind of impossible. So,
What does it mean to have emergency authorization? Does that mean they skip some steps?
good question. Good question. So basically, emergency use authorization, it's a shorter process, but no steps were skipped. The FDA, some people are like, well, how could this have come out so quickly? Like, how is it already available? Most of these vaccinations take years to develop. So you also have to think the whole world turned all of their resources to this as this pandemic struck. So we have a lot more resources for this vaccine than we've ever had for any other vaccine. The other thing is the production was scaled up at the same time the safety trials were going on. So it was a big financial risk for a lot of these companies, but part of that the governments took on, knowing that they would need to, so they were producing it without having, you know, the go-ahead to give it. And typically we don't do that. Typically we wait, you know, because we don't want to produce a bunch of stuff that we then can't dispense, because that's a big, you know, financial risk. So that's why this is happening so quickly. Both Pfizer and Moderna are going to get, are requesting that authorization. That will happen eventually. But if you printed out the paperwork that it takes to get the final authorization, they say that if they printed off every paper, that it would be high enough to reach the top of the Sears Tower. So if you think about, that's the part they skipped. You know, they skipped that legalistic paperwork process in order to move forward. So the people approving were walking hand in hand with the scientists as they went through this process. And also it was scaling up at the time that they were doing the safety data, which again was a financial risk, and some companies probably didn't do as well. It didn't pan out for them. So,
How long am I protected once I get this vaccine?
So, you know, just like I want to be upfront and honest, the real answer to that is we don't really know. You know, I think that we're going to have more data the longer people from the trials are out. They're the ones that they get, that are getting, you know, monthly or weekly antibodies drawn on them. I know that, you know, from the first dose, so it's 2 doses, it's 21 days apart. After your first dose, you know, there's data showing that you may have some protection after 7 to 10 days, but not, you really get that full, you know, that full antibody reaction after about 7 to 10 days after the second dose.
When can I take my mask off?
Good question. So obviously not after the first dose, because you're not fully protected. And the worry is that there may be a false sense of security after you get that first vaccination that you're protected. You know, I am concerned that people will then start to take their masks off or congregate because they've been vaccinated and you feel invincible at that time. The reality is you're no more protected after your first dose than you are without having a dose at all. So, you know, it's, you know, 7 to 10 days after your second dose, you would have that antibody response. At the same time, I want to stress, we also don't know, you know, there's theories as to whether or not a vaccinated person can then carry the virus in your nares like we do other viruses. Even though you yourself are protected, you take your mask off and then you're exposing everyone else, your loved ones. You know, we do not have herd immunity to this. There is not, and it's going to be a long time before we're going to be able to take our masks off because of the fact that you are the first ones to get it, but the rest of, you know, Virginia will not get it for quite some time. So you don't want to be then responsible for the spread of this disease.
Dr. Scheer, would you get this vaccine?
I actually already have gotten my first dose. So, you know, and the reason is, you know, I feel honored that I get to be, you know, I do go and see COVID patients, and I have throughout this. And I look forward to when I get to walk home and hug my baby first, and not go run up to the shower. I'm sorry.
And at this point, that's it for our question and answer session, but I did want to ask if anyone has any new insurance cards. We are still making copies to go along with the vaccination form that you all signed earlier this week. So we need any new insurance cards. We have insurance cards in the clinic because you've been good about bringing them in, but if someone has a new one, we're gonna need a copy of that. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. For the team members that are listening, what Ann just mentioned applies to the team members who also filled out the vaccine administration record, the VAR form, which Walgreens is going by to provide us with a total count of actually how many vaccines are provided. So all team members and all residents need to provide those insurance cards. So that's part of the process. So if anybody has any questions about that, whether you are a resident or a team member, please feel free to reach out to Ann down in the clinic, and you can certainly feel free to call the administration suite. So next up is Chef Tyrone.
Good afternoon. As y'all know, I'm the executive chef for Dining Services. I'm here today just to talk a little bit about the menus for Christmas. I know y'all been waiting patiently for the menus to go out, but me and Dave have been working real diligent in trying to come up with an awesome menu. We did. We come up with it's wonderful. We have a big surprise on the menu for you too. We just was working with our vendors to get all the product in. So I'm gonna go over the menus, and this big surprise, I know all the residents been asking me about it, so I'm just gonna go over some of the menus. So we, first of all, we just did some, on the regular menus that we do on a daily basis of, in the grill and the takeout, we add a couple of things to it. We got a fruit and cheese plate with brie, melons, and walnuts and grapes. And then we did a duck confit with a blood orange sauce. We brought back our wonderful Virginia oysters. So I know the residents will love that. So then we have a stuffed cordon bleu chicken. And we adding an extra menu for Christmas Day. It's for grilled and for takeout. We having for appetizers, we have a crab Louis cocktail. We doing country ham biscuit. Our soups for that day is lobster bisque, and the lobster bisque is made with it's real lobster. We did a nice lobster stock. We doing a butternut squash with apples. We have the lobster thermidor for entree, a roasted prime rib. And we having our wonderful lamb chops with mint jelly. And we doing a fig and goat cheese stuffed quail. And we for all our sides, we having a grilled asparagus. We having an orange glazed carrots, green bean almondine, a lobster mac and cheese, herb roasted finger licking potatoes. I think that's an awesome menu. We just was working it out. I just want to say thanks for having patience for us to work on the menu. And I'd like to just say Merry Christmas to all. So thank you very much.
What's on the showcase?
And excuse me, forgot to tell you about Showcase. Yes, and it's not next to next to. We apologize for that that area. So, but we are having roasted prime rib cob. We're doing a shrimp scampi, and then we're gonna have all the other sides like asparagus and roasted potatoes and etc. So thank you very much for being patient. Merry Christmas once again.
Chef, do you need anybody to taste any of those
Come up,
right now, or
come up tomorrow.
come up to the kitchen? Okay, anybody want to taste any of those items? Chef said to come up to the kitchen right now. Okay, I don't believe any questions came in from the residents or team members. So I'm going to leave you with one song. It's by Carrie Underwood, "Oh Holy Night," for those of you that wish to listen to this song. I think it's one of the most beautiful songs that came out of her new album for this season. And while we do that, just a little commercial break for 4 o'clock. Trish and Florence and Margaret have been working very hard on a Lessons in Carols that will commence here at 4 o'clock live stream. So if you're going to tune out here for the next 15 minutes, you don't want to miss Lessons in Carols at 4 o'clock. So tune back into the live feed, and we'll see you here shortly. For those of you that want to listen to this beautiful song, just stay tuned for the next 4 minutes. Have a great night. Have an awesome Christmas. And we'll see you live chat again on Monday at 3 o'clock. We are not having a live chat here on Christmas on Friday. So we'll talk with you soon.